Well, hey, welcome back to Tuesday morning. It's so good to be back with everyone and have another opportunity to come together with my friend Matt and share some thoughts with you guys for this week. So, hey, Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. Matt and I were talking over this past week about um, some opportunities we always have with clients and how we learn so much more from them. And I was sharing with Matt a little exercise one of our clients went through where they looked back on the past year and as they said, hey, what can we learn from what was that, 2021, right? That we just finished up. How can we forget that year? What did we learn from 2021 that'll help us become better and more effective in 2022? And one of the things they did is they did an analysis of where did the new business come from? Where did the new work come from? And this client happened to be in the financial services industry. And in that industry, there's segments that they look at. One of them is COIs or centers of influence. And I think we all have those, right? No matter what our industry is. Centers of influence would be someone who can influence a decision or influence an introduction. So those centers of influence are people that can take us to other people that might need our good service and materials that we provide. Then they obviously looked at just network, from our pure network, what came in and what did we find. They looked at inbound leads and what the marketing engine generated and website. And then they looked at their current clients and those that they're already working with. What did they generate in terms of new business? And then they looked at what they called embedded COIs. That is, people that we would want to network with that are already working with our customers. And Matt and I talked a little bit about this study, and we were both shocked to find out that most of the time people spend on thinking about how they're going to network or thinking about how they want to prepare for conversations is spent around COIs, those centers of influence that are out there that we think are going to take us to the holy grail of everybody we need to meet. Or we spend a lot of time worried about networking because we think that's going to take us to where we want to go. What this client found is that 73% of their new work, their new fees, their new accounts came from their clients. It came from doing more with the people they were already working with, the people that trusted them most, or it came from those people taking them to referrals, giving them new clients. 23%, I think, of that business came from, or 21% of that came from their embedded COIs. So the service providers to their clients, people that were already, again, working with them, working with their clients in an intimate way, and got to understand what this company, these people did so uniquely and so well that they wanted to take them to others. Only 1% of the work came from new COIs. And I think zero came from networking, and about 3% came from inbound leads. And I think, Matt, you and I were both pretty surprised by that.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Now, disclaimer: this isn't rationalization to not have a diversified approach because we still believe in marketing, we still believe in net new, we still believe in networking, in COIs, and candidly, certain industries and certain businesses rely more heavily on or less heavily on net new, and there are opportunities to expand. And so I think the theme of this is, number one, do we know where our business comes from? Even if our organization doesn't do that, do we as salespeople know where our business comes from? Whether it's an industry, whether it's a type of engagement, whether it's a size, revenue, or a part of the product, do we know? Because once we know, it becomes that much easier to get into our sweet spot, whether it be for getting that net new or prospecting. It's all about spending time in the best spots, right? Because you only have 24 hours a day. So if your organization doesn't do it, then you should know where the business comes from. And I think the other big point is our favorite word, intentionality. How are we being intentional with relationships of our customers, whether or not we have account managers, whether or not It's our job to maintain contact or to be around them. Are we being intentional for one of my favorite things, but underutilized referral opportunities? The number one
Mhm.
reason we don't get referrals is because we never ask and we don't have a systematic process. So how are we being intentional? And do we know where our business is coming from? I think are two immensely important topics.
It's funny you said that, Matt, about being intentional and asking for referrals because we have another client who did a customer survey, client survey. And what they learned is that they had, I think, 86% of their clients said they would refer them without hesitation. They had no issues in referring them. Yet less than 10% of their clients did. And they asked me, they said, what do you think about that? And I said, well, when was the last time we asked for a referral? I mean, how can we, right? How can we say that people aren't giving us referrals if we aren't asking for them? And I think people get hung up. People get a little weak kneed about that because it can be something that's uncomfortable, especially if it's awkward, and we don't know how to do it well. If we don't know how to do it right, it's something that can be awkward and can feel like we're putting a wedge in the relationship that we might be putting our needs ahead of the other's needs in a relationship. But there's ways to do that well. And I think if we're having regular client meetings or customer meetings, and we find our customers and clients are saying good things about us, right? If they're saying nice things, they're saying that we're doing a great job. They're saying, yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you for your help. It's real easy to say to them, hey, who's the one person you think we could help? Right? Versus, can you give me 5 names? It's the old insurance guy, not to beat up on insurance guys, but when they slide the piece of paper across the table at you and say, "Can you give me 5 names of friends or family I can call?" That's uncomfortable. When we say to somebody, "Who's the one person you think I can help?" It's positioned a little differently, and I think people are a little more inclined to share that.
Yeah, so if Bill, if you don't mind, let's break this down, I guess, into two different segments. The first segment of people in their current role, in their current industry, they have to meet. It makes sense to meet, whether it's updates, check-ins. So let's talk about being intentional with them, and then perhaps that second segment to have referral opportunities, to network, to grow business outside of their current client. They might have an account manager, so it isn't necessary for them to stay in touch and to meet. How are you intentional in that realm? Because I'm just running through our current clients in my head, and I think we have them that fall on both sides of that fence, perhaps. So
Mhm.
first up, how do you be intentional when you have to meet with someone, debriefs, check-ins, ongoing account management?
Yeah, I think with those ongoing meetings, especially if they're periodic, right? So if they're quarterly or they're biannually or annual meetings, I think of like who are some of the people you'd have to meet with that provide service to you on a regular basis, on an annual basis. It's your accountant, right? So how easy is it for an accountant when you're meeting with them at the end of the year and you're doing taxes and doing this and doing that, or if you're a business and you're meeting with your accountant on with your year-end wrap-up and planning and budgeting, for them to say to you, "Hey, how'd we do? What's the one thing we could have done better this past year?" And you give them great feedback, and if they're getting great feedback that is powerful, and they're providing incredible service, and they're doing incredible things, and they're hearing wonderful news from those they're serving, how easy is it for them to say, "Who's the one person you think I can help?" Because when you phrase it that way, we all would know somebody that we might say, "Well, I don't know," because what do we think of in that case? We think of somebody who's struggling. We think of somebody who's similar. We think of somebody who will have some needs. The flip of that is if we're not meeting with somebody with regularity and we're not engaged with them, and we have to make it more intentional, then maybe it's asking the account manager, who Matt you mentioned would be managing that account. Maybe we ask if we could tag along with them and say, "Hey, we want to get the annual checkup. We want to," and it's easy to say to the customer or the client, "Hey, every once in a while, we like to get as close as we can and understand as much as we can. This is that time of year. What can we be doing better? Right? What's the one thing we should be doing better? What's the one thing we should be thinking about over the course of the next year that'll make life better? How would you define success for us over the next 12 months?" And then asking them, who's the one person you think we could help? It's very powerful, and it's about creating that help for them. We never lead with who can you give me? What can you do for me? We lead with how can we make life better for you?
I can't help but be reminded of a few episodes ago when we talked about head trash. I think so much of this topic has to do with head trash being afraid to ask for a referral, head trash in, well, I don't want to create another meeting, or I don't want to show up because I don't feel like I have the relationship. I haven't talked to them in 6 months or talked to them in a year. I'm replaying multiple conversations that I've had. Um, Heck, they were both last week. So um, when you lead with help and you're truly there to help and you're putting their needs in front of our needs, and if we are satisfying those and we are in constant improvement mode, I get it. It sounds great. Thank you for the kind words. But what is that one thing we can improve? We're constantly looking to improve. What is that one thing? It starts to open people's eyes, and in my mind, be fertile ground to be able to ask. If we're helping them, it's so natural to help someone in their network or help someone that they care about, being an extension of them. So be careful with head trash, and be careful with those ideas in our own mind that stop us. Every time I go down a referral process with a client, they stop and say, well, when is the right time? Or how should I ask? When should we ask?
Mhm.
It's very, very easy. When is the right time? I look at it more as when is the right time by? And there's nuance there. There's not going to be an ideal time or a perfect time in every industry. Maybe if you're a financial advisor like you used, and you have that annual checkup, maybe it's regimented like that. But I'm thinking of a commodity based, month to month type contract that I was just talking to. And 30 days might be too soon for some, 60 days might be too late for others. So why don't we set it as we should have asked all our new business by 6 months and make it
Mhm.
a systematic process. So the how, I think you walk through the how there. Um,
And
but
Matt, that timeline that you set up, it's critical to remember that how do we onboard people to have great experiences? So
correct.
part of the onboarding would be checking in. I mean, we shouldn't bring a new client on and wait a year to see how we're doing, right? We
Right.
shouldn't wait even 6 months. We should share with somebody and say, hey, typically you're going to have a feel for how this is working inside of 90 days and how we can get better. So we'd like to send our 90-day check-in. And if you have that at 90 days, it's very
Yep.
easy to say, how's it going? And then maybe in that meeting is when we want to say, who's the one person you think we could help if things are going well? We certainly don't want to show up to the 90-day check-in and have them give us a laundry list of all the things we failed to do in our contract and everything we have done, we've done poorly. That's not the time to say, hey, great, thanks so much. By the way, who's the one person you think we could help? Because that's making it about us versus about
Mhm.
them. We want to deliver excellence. We want to deliver exceptional experiences. And only when we've done that do we earn the right to ask for the referral. Right.
Yeah, great point with that. The onboarding and scheduling the meeting, checking in how we're doing. I think for me, it's more on being opportunistic too. So let's say before that check in, we have a call and they're giving us rave reviews, and they said, "Hey, I just have to call to tell you how great of a decision this was, and the
Mhm.
ROI, and how fantastic this is." We have to be able to think on our feet, and if it makes sense in that conversation to ask, by all means, let's ask early. I use the ask by date as more of a placeholder and a backstop in process, because we love process because it leads to predictable results, for a lot of the referral processes that we create. And so I think it's very simple. If you don't have a referral process now, just break it down to when is the right time by, and be mindful of the onboarding. How do we ask? Bill laid that out. How we doing? What's one thing that we can be doing better? Who is involved? Is it account manager
Mhm.
involved, based on your industry? Is it just the outside salesperson? Is it a team? Is it a group? If you have those three things, you have enough to be dangerous to go start asking. Don't wait for the perfect process.
That's
And
right.
you have to be comfortable to celebrate progress and not perfection, something that we always say. So don't let perfect get in the way from not doing it. Referral business is so far underutilized. Uh,
Hmm.
it's mind numbing in many ways, and many of our clients. So part of that intentionality is create a referral process today.
Yep.
Don't wait.
Amen. I couldn't agree more with you, Matt. And you know what Matt says, take it to heart. Today is the day. If you don't have that process in place, today is the day to get it. And part of that is understanding, starting at the beginning with what we did. Take a look. Where have your last 5 clients? Where have your last 5 customers come from? Have they been inbound leads? Have they been referrals from other clients? What have they been? Most of you don't know that, right? When I share that with you, most of you don't know because we're not owning that data as well as we should. So take a look today when we finish up now. Take a look at where my last 5 come from, why they choose us, and what do I need to do to replicate that to make more of that happen, right? And where does our existing clients either? And we didn't talk much about this, Matt, but we're against the clock. But how can I expand some of the things we're doing inside of our existing accounts? How can our existing accounts lead us to new existing accounts? By the way, why do you think that's so valuable, guys? Because the people we're having success with tend to know a lot of people that are like them. And if we can have success with this client, they're going to lead us to others we can have success with. So look at what more can we be doing for those that we're serving well? How do we help them? How do we increase the value we give to them? How do they take us to others? Right? And how do we ask about that with some intentionality? And if you do that, you'll grow. You can't help but grow your business. If you don't do that, you might look at data that's someday that says, hey, 90% of our customers are willing to give us a referral and 6% of them have because we haven't asked, right? So think about that gap of people waiting to take you to new business, waiting to take you to new opportunities. And all we have to do is put their needs ahead of ours and let them know we're interested. So, with that, we thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being with us again and look forward to being with you guys again next week. Hope you have a great week. Take
Have a
care.
good week.
God bless.